I had a mentor tell me to look in the mirror and basically say something good about yourself. I couldn't even do it. Like, I couldn't even look in the mirror. It felt so dumb and stupid and so foreign to say something good in the mirror to myself. Hey, welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. I hope this is a place of rationale and a place of healing, and I hope that I give you tools and takeaways that will help you in your personal life and on your path and your journey. Today, I want to talk about being your own hero and positive self-talk. Why is it important? I know for me, when I was younger, as still a soldier, I thought that was silly and absurd, and I thought it was just dumb, basically. Positive self-talk, looking in the mirror and saying, you're good enough, you're strong enough, and you're worthy. And I left it at that. I was like, that's just dumb. But I did not know the deeper implications of how important it is for us to have our own best interests at heart and to be the first one to talk good about ourselves. And as I got older, I started realizing there's a voice running in my head of negativity, of just tearing myself down. And I wondered, where did that come from? And why do I do that? Because I would even get anxiety about not being able to do something as good as I could because I was going to tear myself up about it internally and externally. And then it's like, oh, I'm getting anxiety over something that hasn't even happened, and it's not coming from anybody else. It's coming from internally. It's like, where did that come from? And why do I think it's dumb to encourage myself when nobody else is? So I had to do a deep dive. Childhood. So in other videos, I've learned to share my story in hopes that it resonates with you and you've walked that path, but I can give you a key to basically unlock a door and find a way off your path or onto the path you want to be on. I hope that analogy made sense. So as a child, the brain is developing and is getting programmed on what to do and how to behave. And this is where programming comes in of that negativity or that poor self-talk. Let's say you have a child who is not wanted, and that was me. I was not wanted, and these people let me know that. And I will share with this. My mother would just talk terrible to me as a child and treat me horribly. Like, she had no boundaries. But verbally, she was just brutal, even when I was little bitty. And my father had no love or compassion and was very brutal. And as I got older, he got more, not cynical, but just not loving and more brutal with his words, like cutting. It's because some people, when they see you succeed and do things, they don't like it. Especially, and I know there's a lot of people out there like me. That's why I'm sharing this. Especially when two people have a child they do not want and they have disdain for that child. They don't want to see that child do good at all. So they're going to treat this child in a way that's just going to ruin their life. And that's kind of what they tried to do for me. And they did a great job of it for a long time. And I had to do that deep dive of like, why do I talk so horribly to myself? Why do I treat myself like garbage? It was programmed into me as a child. There were so many things I would not even attempt because if I did the slightest thing that they didn't like, and I was a great kid, I was a fun kid, it was trouble. Talking down to lectures, whippings, whatever you want to say. Like, it's like they got to do whatever they wanted. So my brain had this terrible internal dialogue. And I had all these glass ceilings being afraid to try anything new because when you're a little kid and you're told you're going to fail, like you're not going to make it, you're going to be in jail by this age, it's like you think in your mind, like, I am a failure. I am going to end up in jail. I am pathetic. I am worthless. I should have been born a girl. Like, that's the garbage, like I was told. And so I had to do this deep dive of like, okay, I have this terrible internal dialogue. It is horrible because I would walk in somewhere and then it starts. Like, I had this pretend reel that I knew what everybody was thinking and everybody thought the worst of me. And I started talking that in my mind. And it just killed my self-confidence, just murdered it. So I started, let's see here. After I started meditating, I started realizing that there was your soul or consciousness, awareness, whatever you want to call it, and your mind. And that when you are being talked to, your brain filters those messages and it gets to your soul, but it gets filtered through your brain first. But then when you're talking into a mirror, you're actually looking at your soul back in there and it's going to receive that message. So if I look in the mirror and I think, man, I don't like this, I don't like that. Like, my subconscious is seeing and hearing mentally it getting torn down. It's like my representation in the world of this body basically is being insulted constantly by myself. That is psychological damage I'm doing to myself. It doesn't matter, and this is what I would share with you, like, it doesn't matter how your parents raised you or what they did terribly, because like, I'm just one in millions of guys or girls that were abused by their parents. I didn't want them. Like, it's just a part of this hell on earth. But since that all doesn't matter, that frees me up from changing how I do the positive self-talk and how I am my own cheerleader. And what I want to encourage you to do, or a tool that I do, which is pretty easy, and it was awkward at first. It was weird. I had a mentor tell me to look in the mirror and basically say something good about yourself. I couldn't even do it. Like, I couldn't even look in the mirror. It felt so dumb and stupid and so foreign to say something good in the mirror to myself. And I literally couldn't do it for a while. And then I heard this other dude. He said, all right, look yourself in the eye and say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Say that 10 times. And so I was like, I'm going to say this and look in each eye and say it 3 to 10 times. And I started doing that. And at first I felt a little silly. And then I realized my subconscious does not understand that that is a mirror. Maybe logically in my brain that I know it's a mirror and a reflection of myself, but my subconscious sees another human saying these words at it. So first thing in the morning, if the best words that are coming are the first person I observe, which is in the mirror of, hey, I love you, I love you, I love you. It changes the whole precedence of the day. And that might be the right word. Instead of getting up and being like, I'm late, I didn't do this yesterday, I got to get to that. Oh man, I messed up, blah, blah, blah. The narrative changes to the first person you engage with in the mirror is like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then you step away feeling validated as a person of like, I am loved. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's not being self-absorbed and worshiping yourself, but it's changing that inner narrative to the point where when you start looking in the mirror and instead of pointing out your flaws, you're telling yourself you love you and you start encouraging. And then what I found, this is how it morphed for me. And I want to encourage you down this path also. It started morphing into me internally treating myself like a little kid, like I would my own kids. Like, hey, you know what? That happens. I did it myself when I was a kid. Don't worry about it. We got a towel over here. We can clean it up. Not a big deal. Hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be done right now. The world's not going to end. You can regather this stuff and, do it again. Hey, not a problem. You are doing the best you can. And so my internal dialogue has shifted to where I'm literally talking to myself like a child that I want to encourage and build up. It's like our kids are awesome. And then when they do something, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm here to coach you. I'm here to love you. And I'm here to encourage you. I'm not here to beat you down and make you feel bad about spilling the milk. Like, in the vast scheme of the entire universe and all of time, that is almost less than less of an incident. Is that worth like blowing out of proportion? Of like, just like, this is monumental, we must freak out. No. No, it's not. It is not. And we sometimes as adults view ourselves as our smallest, and I use the term mistake loosely, to beat ourselves up and hold ourselves over the flame, and punish ourselves verbally, internally. And we don't need to. We need to encourage ourselves, just be like, hey, you didn't get it this time. How about get this together, get a good night's sleep, and then we'll step back into it tomorrow. Versus the internal dialogue of, man, you suck, you're pathetic, all these horrible things are going to happen. And it takes time to change the internal dialogue. And you start becoming your own hero. I like to imagine if Steve Rogers or Captain America, the Avenger, if I was a kid and something happened, what would he say to me? Because in the movies, he always has just this gentlemanly demeanor and encouragement, and just the way he phrases things, and he just says the right thing at the right time, and he's not there to tear anybody down. So it's like, if Captain America were talking to me right now, what would he say? Like, hey, you know what? Hey, champ, let's try again tomorrow. You know what? You gave it your best shot. Things like that. And when I play those games in my mind, I start getting encouraged. And then that inner dialogue of just detrimental status that was programmed into my mind as a young kid is now changing to where, let's say I drop something accidentally while I'm by myself, like I drop a hanger. And instead of like grabbing it as quick as I can and be like, oh my gosh, what a fool. It's like, oh, anybody could have dropped that. Like, paying attention to your fingers 24/7, you kind of lose track of your fingers sometime, and you don't always grab the hanger properly. And you can apply that in so many other aspects of life. I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. So many other things where we should view life as a learning experience, not a right and wrong, make you and break you, as in just the way you're operating during the day. You slip up and you make a mistake, which is a big difference from when you have intentions of actually wanting to hurt somebody or make a mistake on purpose. That's totally different. But when you're giving it your best, you deserve the best coach coaching you. When you are getting up and just stepping into this life day after day after day, after everything you've been through, because we've all been through a lot. All of our stories are different, but they all have tragedy. They all have triumph. They all have pain and sadness. And the fact that you're still getting up and still stepping into it with best intentions means that you should get the best coach. And why not be your own coach? Be your own hero. Be the person that would have shown up and protected you as a child. And when you do that, you basically start nurturing yourself into a much more solid person, and you stop looking to the world to validate your existence or validate your actions or to confirm who you think you are. Because it's not up to anybody else to tell you who you are. But when you're getting the best coaching from the inside, your outside is going to perform at a much higher level than you probably could have possibly imagined. Hey, I hope some of that made sense. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and we're about to get into the briars and bramble of where I mess up ending a video. Positive self-talk is very, very important and very, very beneficial. And I would really like to encourage you, tomorrow morning when you first get up, look in that mirror and tell yourself you love you. It might be hard. You might not be used to it, and it may feel dumb and silly. And yes, it does. But here's the thing, you deserve it. There's not a problem with it. And the more you do it, the more you're going to have that just this warm and cozy going on the inside 24/7. Like, no joke, it works that way. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you liked it. If you didn't like it, let me know. If you did like it, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any rude comments, I will respond in the most gentlemanly manner possible. And I'm going to end this video now. Roadhouse, spiritual hard.